Anyways. Such a joke. There was a man, and this is some years ago, just to kind of give you some glimpses, how real education works. His name was G.I. Gurdjieff. Or you can ask her and she'll tell you, but let me just put some words in her mouth. She'll enjoy that. All of us, when we grow up and we realize that our parents are just forcing us to do things we don't want to do, we whisper very quietly late at night, what the hell is wrong with my mom? What the hell is wrong with my father? Why are they so mean? All I want to do is just watch TV or play video games or hang out with my friends. I'm not doing anything bad. They keep telling me, come in, it's shower time. I just want to ride my bicycle. I'm not doing anything bad. And so you feel as if your parents are these tyrants. And so your mom gives you a book to read to tell you the difficulty of raising a child in the 21st century. Your father gives you a pep talk. They take you to, fairyland. They sit there and say, son, listen, your mom really, really loves you. The only reason why she says that you should shower at this time is she's been up since 3 a.m. It's not easy cooking for 5 kids, cleaning the house, doing laundry, A, B, C, D. So when she says, come in and take a shower, she just wants her life to be a little bit more organized. She just wants to rest. And your son or your daughter, as you're telling them, they keep looking at their cell phone. And as a dad or a mom, you want to slap them really hard. Say, pay attention, this is important. And after a while, you think that they need therapy, but they don't. They're just kids and stupid. So time passes and your son hasn't spoken to you in 20 years. And he or she, daughter calls you and says, Dad, I'm getting married. Married? You're only 5. He says, no, Dad, I'm 25. Oh, time passes really quickly. Can you come to my wedding and all that? Sure. You go there and, you have a good time and you guys make up, and you kiss and make up and things are good. And then your son calls you after, 2-3 years and says, Dad, I'm so sorry. Sorry for what? I remember all those years when you and I used to go to Pete's Coffee and you used to tell me how difficult parenting is, that I was a brat, that you wanted to slap me, but you kept it together. I gotta tell you, man, I am so sorry for what I put you through. And it's something that all of us go through, but we don't recognize it. That real education takes place when you yourself are in the thick of it. Reading a book, going to a therapist. They're all good, don't get me wrong. They give you great insights. The only problem is that insights don't train you. Insights don't allow mindfulness or an awareness to be there all the time. They inspire you, then they go away, then you become your old stupid self, and then time passes. Once in a while, inspiration comes up from the cemetery somewhere deep inside you and says, I'm back. And then you kind of feel embarrassed or ashamed and you apologize to your husband or to your wife or to your mom or to your dad. Then he goes into hiding and then you become your old stupid self and then you become a mother. And then while your kids are screaming and your husband is being an idiot, you don't remember all the things you put your parents through. But then there are these quiet moments. The house may be busy, but something about you is just very, very quiet. And in that quietness, somehow you go back in time. And for some strange reason, you think about your mom, you think about your dad, even though maybe they were just idiots themselves as well. You say, man, it's really, really tough raising children. It's really, really tough being a mom. Now I understand why my mom drank a little. Now I understand why my father did, drugs a little. Because it's just too much. You go to work, you come home, and there is no time to rest. And psychologically, you just want to scream, but you can't. So you do a little drugs, and before you know it, you're addicted. Before you know it, you're just abusive. Before you know it, you want to just like slap everybody. And before you know it, you just pack up your stuff and you just leave. And the truth is, life puts us in those really, really awful situations. So when I see someone reading Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, it's a great book, don't get me wrong. I think whenever you become more literal, you become more aware, you have more knowledge in your arsenal. There are like maps. I don't know if you've seen this Harry Potter movie, but I think, the third movie, there is this map that is given to Harry Potter. And sometimes Harry has this desire to kind of just know where everybody is, where they're going, what they're doing. So there is this map that's given to him by these twins. And they say, whenever you want to know a few things about a few people, just grab, your magical stick or wand and go like this. And all of a sudden, this map that has nothing on it will come to life. And then you'll see everyone and everything. And I think all this information that you and I pack up in our heads, they are very much like that. They are maps. The only problem is that most often they remain dead, hidden. So going back to Gurdjieff, he really understood that first, it's best if people come to him not knowing much. And there is a reason. You see, if you are married, for example, and you've divorced, you have an arsenal of experience inside you. Maybe you can't trust yourself anymore in making difficult decisions in terms of relationships. Maybe you can no longer trust men. Maybe you're still recovering from all the abuse your ex put you through. Maybe you've been to 20 years of therapy. Who the hell knows? But all of a sudden, I walk into your life. You like me, but you can't trust me. You like me, but you can't even trust your own emotions. And all of a sudden, you take one step forward and 10 steps back. And so it's really, really difficult to work with anybody who assumes that they know, who have a lot of fear inside them, a lot of doubt inside them, that they have lost innocence, And so whenever they take any steps towards anything, there is like 80% doubt and 20% certainty. And the 80% would swallow the 20%. The certainty will never stand a chance. And so Gurdjieff enjoyed people who came to him as blank slates. Now, nobody comes blank slate. Nobody comes empty. All of us in this class have experiences. But there was something really magical about this man. He had a certain presence that you believe yourself to be a Christian. You believe yourself to be African American. But there was something about him, you see, that the moment you saw him, it's as if all the things you believed yourself to be just melted away. And for that particular moment, you became clean. It's like you were baptized. You were washed, not with water, not with fire, but with the presence of Gurdjieff or the presence of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, or something. It's like when all of a sudden in the street you run into Jordan Peterson, or you run into Beyonce, or you run into Michael Jordan. All of a sudden, everything disappears and you say, can you sign my underwear? For example, you have no shame, you have no remorse, no regret, nothing. Cultural etiquette goes out the window. You just really want, that's an awful book. You really just want someone, this person to kind of just pay you attention, and he or she does. And then Gurdjieff would open his mouth and talk. And his philosophy was immaculate. It was powerful. It was pristine. And so, little by little, he would tell you how you should think, how you should feel. But it wasn't just that. He would also be blunt enough that should you make any mistakes, he would say, are you an idiot? And in front of everybody. But because you were kind of in love with Gurdjieff, He was like your son. Even though he would assault you, insult you, offend you, he was your only home. You couldn't go anywhere. So he would give you beginner's mind, teaching mind. He would say, read this, and then you read it. Then he would slap you. And then you would like begin to cry. He says, wait a minute. I slapped you 5 minutes ago. This is like 10:05. I slapped you at 10. That moment is gone. Come, let's go have ice cream. And the nice thing about this process is that you had to collect yourself. Put your emotions aside. Put your ill wills aside. Put your image of me aside that you had constructed. And then you had to be okay. And then you and I would hold hands and go and have some ice cream. And then he would say at the end of our ice cream meeting, he says, this is how you do it. The world is going to offend you, assault you every single moment. If you were to hold on to this moment, you would lose precious time, energy, youth, life. Let things go. But you see, all of this is really, really easy to talk about. I can talk about it because I've read books. I can come here and parrot this stuff back. But I cannot apply this to my life. And so you realize at the end of the day, you know all these things, but they have no place in your life. I mean, she knows. Look, she's crying right now. She knows. I mean, the sort of stuff that she has gone through, she doesn't want to put her kids through those things. You know, even though she went through it, even though she has knowledge of it, but she puts her kids through the very same stuff that she herself was put through. Because that's how life is. It takes a tremendous amount of mind and a soul and a spirit and a willingness and an awareness to kind of say, I went through that. I refuse to put my kids through this stuff, and there is only one way not to put my kids through this stuff. You know, every time I get frustrated, I can't act like that. I can't talk like this. And at the end of the day, you realize it's just a failed attempt. It just doesn't work. Unless you belong to a cult. Not a cult in a negative sense, to a group of people. You know, you go and live with your grandparents, with your parents, with your aunts, uncles. You have a big community. And because everybody's watching you, even though you want to scream, you become very soft-spoken. That's the only way. There is no other way. I mean, you can't lock yourself in a room, read that book 1,000 times and come out in society and say, I am Zen mind, beginner's mind. Nothing can impact me. No, it doesn't work. So this, what they call education, I don't know what this is. It's just a couple of us coming together, having a cup of coffee, at least you watching me drink my cup of coffee, and then going home, having a few moments of feel good, and that's it. But that is a great book. The version I have has the picture of this monk on it. I think the guy who actually wrote the book. And I read the first paragraph. I couldn't tolerate it anymore, but the first paragraph was nice. So, Eli. So what else can we talk about? Anything? Eli, anything?
Motivation.
Motivation. Well, I need that myself. Can you guys give me a pep talk on that? Can I be transparent, i.e. honest? Motivation. Let me, first of all, talk about motivation as it relates to me in this class and all my classes. I'm not talking about the room, even though it's pathetic, but mainly students. And then we'll just talk about motivation, period. All right? Charles, well, let me put myself on the side for a moment and just ask you a question. Imagine that you wake up in the morning and nothing smells bad. You don't smell bad. And you just sit, have your breakfast, you watch some TV, you go for a walk, then you go for a jog, and then you cut down a couple of trees, then you go back inside your house, and then as you're about to make yourself a sandwich, you realize that there is this foul smell coming from somewhere. You look into the garbage bin, it doesn't come from there. In the fridge, it doesn't come from there. Who motivated you, like a dog, to go looking for where the smell is coming from? I'm sorry? There is something about your own organism that says there is something out there that just doesn't smell good. Your senses. That's your first motivation. That motivation, because something that doesn't smell good, it kind of brings something alive inside you. It's not forced. You don't have to will yourself. You don't have to read 1,000 books to kind of understand or say, I want to be mindful. We don't need a pep talk. Something about your nose says, God damn it, Charles, something about this place just smells really, really bad. I'm about to puke. That's the first motivating factor. Then, like a dog, you go sniffing around. See, the first motivation factor impacts your body, and then you go around. I mean, you become really curious. You don't need Jesus Christ to tell you. You don't need books to tell you. You don't need to watch YouTube. Your body begins to move because of your nose and because of the signals it sends to your brain that this is a smell I'm not used to. Okay? Then as you bend over, your arm is stretched out and you realize, oh man, it's your armpit. And then you say, oh, I've been outside for 15 hours. I've been sweating like a pig. The thing that smells in this house is not the fridge. Even the rats smell better than I. It's you. What happens when you realize you smell really, really bad? Yes. Do you need anyone to undress you? No. Who does it? Yes. And who puts you in the shower? You do. So that's the first thing you need to understand about motivation. There are two kinds. One that is forced, that comes from the outside. One that comes from your inside. And every time it comes from your inside, it means that you have become aware of something. You don't need anyone to tell you. That's the kingdom of God, man. That's the voice of God inside you telling you, listen, you smell. Now, this is you smelling physically. Some people smell emotionally. Like you keep telling someone, man, just shut your mouth. Every time your mouth opens, the only thing I hear is trash. You can't speak well, it's because you don't think well, and it's because you haven't read well. Just sit back and listen. Just be quiet. They won't get it. They won't get it. They won't get it. Then at a certain point, they're sitting somewhere having a conversation, and they realize, man, they can't talk. Even though I have been keep telling them for the past 20 years, you can't talk. Go read. My pep talk is not going to motivate them. All right? So, you cannot be motivated about anything by force. It's impossible. My brother has a son. His name is Sarush. The name means an angel who in early morning, like around 3, 4 in the morning, an angel comes down and whispers in your ears. And you got to do A, B, C, D. That's what the name means. And like our parents, we're all paranoid. So he put his kid in a piano class. He's been doing piano for the past, 10 years. And he's really, really good. Whenever I talk to Iraj and I say, so Iraj, what's going on? How's Surush? How's his piano? He just doesn't want to play. He doesn't see himself. He doesn't see his emotions. He doesn't see his soul in the piano. He's not motivated. And so despite all the effort, all the time, all the money, all the energy that he, his parents, his teacher have invested, nowhere. So how will he be motivated to play? Let me tell you. Right now, he's only 15 or 16 or 17. I'm not quite sure how old he is. But one of these days, he's going to get himself in a relationship, whether with a book or an event in the street or a companion. And then he's going to expect some things, and those expectations are not going to come true, and he'll be devastated. Devastation means you have these negative emotions inside you. You have sadness, you have sorrow, you're alone, you're lonely, you're pathetic. It's as if someone has pulled the rug from under your feet. And so in sadness, he'll try to talk to my brother, his father, but he won't find the proper words. So the words will disappoint him, betray him. He'll try to read a Bible, for example, if he likes it. That won't work. He likes Jordan Peterson, and he likes Michael Sanders, who used to teach philosophy at some, I think, school, Yale, but they will disappoint him. And as he's moping around, walking in the house aimlessly, all of a sudden he looks at the piano. And something from his inside says, go sit and play. And then 10 years of playing piano comes to life. What inspired or motivated him to go and sit and play? Pain. It was internal. It wasn't forced. He wasn't being exploited. You guys have to do assignments for this class every 2 weeks. And you have to listen to my lectures. I'm 60. I've been doing this stuff since I was, I think, about 11. Even before going to India and reading all those books. Because Iran is a religious country, our fun was sitting home and listening to my parents talk religion. Every Friday going to the mosque. That was our fun. So these lectures that you guys are listening to are about 50 years of experience. Add to it, I've tried as best as I could to process all that experience in a way that can be digestible even to a 15-year-old. I've tried to make them interesting, exciting, inspiring. They are, at least for me. And they have enough force inside them, these ideas, that I come to campus at 5 in the morning and I write before coming to class. So it's about 3 hours of writing. And regardless of what I say, you may be inspired perhaps listening to this narrative I'm sharing with you, but it's not going to inspire you when you sit behind your computer to write. Why? Because I can't give you the stuff that lives inside me. You can only give me your ears, but you cannot give me your passion. You're not interested. You signed up for this class for 3 units. And now my assumption is that I have the power, my assumption, and it's a wrong assumption, that I have the power to transform your desire for 3 units, morph it into, I really, really am inspired to understand, not for the grade, not for the units, but to understand. And the thing is, I can't do that. Nobody can. Not even Jesus could. No one can inspire you and make that inspiration into a commitment. You see, inspiration is like sleeping with a prostitute or having a one-night stand. You can have fun, and inspiration is fun, man. Like you leave this class or another class, or maybe you've watched a great movie like Malcolm X or Freedom Riders or Gandhi or The Matrix, and you say, I want to go out there and change the world. Good for you. It's a great moment for you. It's like a gift from God. You're inspired. You don't think about your grade. You don't think about lunch. You don't think about your future. You're not selfish, man. That movie has inspired you to go beyond yourself. You want to change the world. But because you're a novice, that inspiration soon gets canned, it gets trashed, it gets forgotten. What happened to it? There is one way that I suppose motivation can come about. I'm talking about inspiration that will force you to become emotive. Your body will begin to move because of the emotions inside you. Motive. Okay? Where it's a committed relationship. And let me tell you how that works. Which is really, really difficult, Charles, and the rest of you, especially Eli. Do you have any questions before I go into this? Julian.
So motivation and then the path, there's the intention and how like spiritual quest with you and you're not doing like following over. Then you can like really prolong the quest.
Julian, you know I like you. And I don't like to disagree with you. But I have to. And let me tell you why. When you and I talk about intention, it means the following. Here you are, Julian, and here you have met Julieta. Okay? Your intention was simply to have a conversation with her. Now remember, one of the difficulties that you and I have as a human being, we are future-oriented people. Means what? There is a good amount of you that lives in the past, but because you're only 20, you don't have very many things living in the past. Forget the first 5 years because you don't remember much of it. So from 5 all the way to, say, 20, which is about 15 years. Okay? And hopefully your past has been relatively clean. You haven't really suffered any abuse or traumas or harassments that have left a mark on your soul. Okay? So you haven't really had anything noteworthy. You've had a good amount of fun with your friends and all that stuff. All right? But a good amount of you, which is from 25 till about like 90, and you can't really think all that way out there. So it's from like 25 till about like 40, which is I want to go to school, I want to get a job, I want to get married and have kids, buy a house. That's as far as you go. You're not going to think about I'm going to get old, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to die. So maybe I should go to Costco and buy a coffin. It doesn't work that way. You're still very, very, very young. So when I say, Julian, you are a future-oriented animal, it means that, yes, you live in the future, but not all the way to 90, but perhaps 35. And depending how mature you are, if you happen to be not very mature, your only future imagination is, what am I going to have for lunch? And that's about 12 o'clock, 2 hours from now. Okay? Now, so your intention is just to talk with her. But you have no idea the forces at play. The conversation may morph into you actually beginning to like her. So the intention of just having a conversation morphs into, man, I really, really like her. Your intention now changes. Because now, inside this world of intention, you make plans. I want to have coffee with her. I want to have dinner with her. I want to know how it feels to hold her hand. I want to spend some more time with her. And then you spend some more time with her. Okay? Time. And then one morning you wake up and you say, oh my God, I'm in love with her. Now, this emotion called love, it creates a different set of intentions. I wonder if she likes me as much. Should I propose? Should I ask her to come and live with me? Maybe we should buy a car together, go grocery shopping together. Okay? Now remember, you started, your intention was simply to have a conversation. But as things snowball, your intention changes from a casual conversation to an intense need to have this woman in your life. And you and her, that's all you need. Now, something strange happens. After maybe, 5, 6 months, or perhaps years, you look at her and say, Julieta, how about a family? Now, all of a sudden, your intention changes. So when it comes to intentions, the truth is none of us know. None of us know at what stage in life your intention for example, becoming a Buddhist will morph into just being an atheist. There have been many Christians who've had conversion experiences. Not that it makes them more of a Christian, but they morph into an atheist. And you've had many atheists who've written books about atheism, rejecting God, saints, spiritual deities, all that stuff. They have an experience, they become a Christian. So when, for example, in Buddhism you read, having the right intentions, whoever wrote that, I don't think they knew what they were talking about. You can have an intention, and that intention can remain solid. But let me tell you how that works. Let's say you are a carpenter, and your mom says, son, can you build me a nice little shed? You say, yes, Mom, I have some free time, some free cash, and you have a beautiful truck. You go to Home Depot, and you buy $2,000 worth of lumber. You say yes to your mom, that's a promise. Okay? And when you go and spend, your intention is to build a shed. You gather your buddies, you go downstairs, you put the lumber there, you grab your nail guns, bags of concrete, and for the next 6 months, You work on building the shed, and eventually it's done. Your intention remained true, remained the same. Why? You were at this very, very mature stage where your mom said, I need this. You knew you were going to do it. Now, there are a couple of things that could have happened. Maybe as you were putting the roof, you fell and broke your neck and you died. The shed remains incomplete. But it wasn't because you just walked away, you got bored. There had been many days while you were exhausted working a 10-hour shift at your mom's house, but it's your mom. You made her a promise. Your intention is to finish. And even though you want to stay in bed another 4 or 5 hours longer, you woke yourself up at 6, you went to her house.